Welcome back to UK Knowledge Guru. In this video, I will be answering your question received in regards to sponsor license suspension. Let's get started with the first question. I have received license suspension today. How much time I have? 20 days. Yes, you will have 20 working days from the date of the suspension notice to respond to UKVI's letter. This is your chance to seek a review of the suspension decision and to set out any mitigation arguments that you believe exist. Let's take another question. How to respond to a sponsor license suspension notice? The notification letter will detail the grounds for suspension. You must address carefully and in detail in your response to the Home Office. Generally, you will have two options. Option 1. Respond to the letter challenging the allegation with supporting evidence and seeking to reinstate the license. Option 2. Respond to the letter by accepting the allegations and identifying how you are addressing the breaches. Let's go to question number 3. What happens after you respond to the Home Office suspension notice? Home Office will carry out further investigations in your organization and its compliance. The suspension will remain in place until UKVI makes a decision on what action to take. Your license could be reinstated if the Home Office is satisfied the issues you have been addressed, or your license could be downgraded or revoked altogether if officials are not satisfied with your response to the allegations or if you have failed to respond. Let's jump to another question. I got B rating. What it means? If the license is reinstated with an A rating, your license status will resume full status. But if your license rating is downgraded, that is reinstated but with a B rating rather than a A rating, you will be required to pay for an action plan for a fee to help reinstate your license to A rating. Let's take another question. My takeaway license is revoked. Why? I think it's due to staff complaint. I got other staff I want to keep. What should I do? If your license is revoked, there is no right of appeal and you won't be allowed to apply for sponsor license again until the end of the appropriate cooling off period to run from the date your license is revoked. This will also mean that any leave granted to migrant workers currently in the UK will be curtailed, and if they fail to find sponsor employment promptly with another sponsor holder, they will be asked to leave the UK. In addition, any applications the organization has pending with the Home Office would usually be refused. Let's jump on another question. I got sponsor license but I hired illegal migrant without passport. What's next? If migrant workers are found to be working illegally, circumstances where you have failed to carry out required checks, you are at risk of civil penalty and in some cases criminal prosecution, potentially resulting in imprisonment or an unlimited fine. Right to work checks should form part of the pre-employment screening process, enabling you to meet your obligation to prevent illegal working. Let's take another question. My sponsor license is suspended today. What will happen to two delivery drivers who are on skilled worker visa? Should I tell them? Your existing sponsored workers' leave will not be affected by the suspension unless the Home Office decide to escalate the penalty to a license revocation. Should the Home Office decide to withdraw the suspension following your response, sponsored worker status will remain unchanged. If existing sponsored workers are already in the UK and are awaiting decision on visa extension, their extension application will be placed on hold until a decision is made on the suspension. You don't need to tell your employees if that's the case, but get it sorted as soon as possible. Let's take another question. I hired new staff from China, but today my sponsor license suspended. Should I send him back to China? This means that the employee is already in the UK. In that case, any new sponsored workers already in the UK who have not yet started work with you can begin working. But any new sponsored workers who are overseas and have not yet started work but have a visa will be contacted by the Home Office directly. New sponsored workers who are overseas and who are awaiting a decision on their visa will see the application put on hold until a decision is made on the suspension. Let's take another question. My sponsor license is suspended and I am currently in USA. What can be the reasons? Reasons for suspension or suspending a sponsored license could be appropriate record of sponsored migrants, unlawful salary, or that an authorizing officer is inappropriate, qualified to assume his position or her position. If you sort all these things out, there should not be any reason that your sponsor license gets suspended. Make sure your HR system is in place. Let's take another question. What is the difference between suspension and revocation? Sponsor license suspension. Let's discuss that first and then we will discuss the sponsor license revocation. A sponsor license suspension is initiated when the Home Office through UK Visa and Immigration identifies potential non-compliance with the obligations of a license. This might arise from inadequate record keeping, false information, failure to make formal notification to UKVI of significant changes in business operations. For example, you have changed your authorizing officer, you have changed the address, or you have changed your skilled worker visa stuff, your details about the office address, any changes you have done and you haven't informed the Home Office. That's where they will get into suspension. Suspension serves as a warning, allowing businesses to rectify identified issues with a specified time frame. During suspension, the company's ability to sponsor new overseas workers is frozen and its name is temporarily removed from the register of sponsors, signaling to potential applicant that if it cannot sponsor a new UK visas. Now let's discuss the sponsor license revocation. In contrast, sponsor license revocation is far more severe. This action is taken when a business failed to address the reasons of suspension inadequately. It's found in serious breaches of its duties posing a threat to immigration control, or when a fraudulent activity is detected, including any illegal workers. For example, any employer is taking money and hiring staff. That's a fraudulent activity, and if it's reported, it gets to revocation. But before revocation, you always get suspension. Revocation not only strips the business of its ability to sponsor new and existing international employees, but also has lasting implication for its reputation and operational capabilities. Unlike suspension, where there is an opportunity to address and correct issues, revocation is final, with a mandatory cooling off period before the business can reapply for license.